In this video, we're going to be talking about Roth IRAs. What are they? How do they work? What are the limitations? How to get around those limitations if you make too much money? And without further ado, I want to welcome Justin Gartman on to the scene. And Justin, I know that we've talked a lot about Roths recently, just about my own situation. And so you went down the rabbit hole, and I was like, we got to share this with the BetterWealth audience. I will say this, that I have few financial regrets in my life. One of them is I wish I would have started a Roth immediately and just had it be one of those things that I did in addition to all the other things, including insurance. I didn't do that, but I'm starting to say, hey, I need to do this. And now we're trying to figure out ways for me to maximize this. And so that's what initially the conversation started with myself. And then I was like, man, if I'm in this boat, other people may or may not know all the limitations around, a Roth IRA. Because a lot of times if you make too much money, you can't necessarily contribute into it. That's what you're told. But we're actually going to go through the steps and how you can potentially get around that if you make too much money.
Yeah, it can be something that Roth can be great. You get to put it in, it grows completely tax free. You get to pull it out tax free. It can be a very exciting thing. I know we talk a lot about different ideas about life insurance and different things here. Well, I told my wife what I was going to be talking about. And I was like, hey, I'm going to go talk to Caleb about Roth conversions. She said it sounded riveting and she can't wait to listen to it to fall asleep. So I don't know if that's a compliment or what it is, but here we go. So yeah, it's something. We'll start with who those people are that can easily contribute. So if you, when you file your taxes, if you are single and you make less than $150,000, then you don't need to worry about any of this. You can contribute directly to a Roth. So I'd say that's definitely the place to start. Is if you can contribute directly to a Roth, and if you have the means, you can do it now, so you don't end up. I know Caleb says he wishes he had started sooner, so definitely can be a good thing for people to do. And then if you're married, filing jointly, that income is a little higher. So in between 236,000 all the way up to 246, it kind of phases out so you can contribute just a portion. But anything over, so if you're one of these people that you're single, filing single, you make $165,000 per year or more, well, you cannot contribute directly to a Roth. Same thing, 246 for people who are married filing jointly. You cannot contribute directly to a Roth. So you're going to have to go through the backdoor way or find another way to get those dollars in there. And to do that now, some would say, why does the government just take away those limits since there's the easy way around it? I would agree, but here we are. So we'll talk
Well,
about the way
welcome,
that you do it.
welcome to the government. And by what is the reason why they limit this to begin with? Is it because tax tax benefits that you're getting? It doesn't fully make sense to me, because the
Yeah,
more money you make, wouldn't the government want that tax revenue this year? I
yeah.
don't know. Yeah.
That's where I'm at, is saying, hey, you could probably make an argument that it would make sense to allow them to do that, especially since there's already a $7,000 cap. It's not like, hey, you make so much money you can contribute in there. I get it's going to grow tax free; they can take it out, so it makes sense there would be a limit. But there's already a limit, so it's kind of in two places. So yeah, not really sure as to why that is. Probably something they had in place. Probably going to be too much work to actually change the legislation around that. So just keep it how it is, as with most things.
So it's like the welcome to the tax code. It's like, here's the rules, and then here's the creative way to get around the rules. So, anyways, if you are single and make less than 150, take advantage of this. And if you're married jointly and you guys make less than 236, take advantage of this. And again, this is there's a lot of cool things you can do with wrappers, and the money going in is not tax deductible. But once in a Roth, it will grow tax deferred. You can use it tax free. There's even ways that you can take your principal out, and there's some flexibilities there. But in the future, no matter what the tax rates are, it's going to remain tax free. Now, for some of my friends, they say, Caleb, you're a sucker for actually believing that, because there's no way the government's going to not tax this. It's a government sponsored plan. We want nothing to do with that. Acknowledge that. I just want to be clear. And I also, I'm probably a little bit more in the middle, where I don't think that the government's going to take all of our freedom away, maybe at once, but I also am not I don't necessarily look at something and say, oh, that's going to last forever and not get modified. I think one of the saving graces to the Roths is there are those limits. And so for most people, they're not going to be like Peter Thiel and have 5, 10, 15, or millions and millions of dollars because they got super creative. Most of them, most people aren't going to have a couple 100,000 in their Roth over their lifetime if they used it.
Yeah, that's where with the limits they have, it makes it harder to get in as much as what you would want to, and so that's where I'm looking at. Yeah, they're probably not going to change that, especially as if you tell people, "Hey, we're not going to tax you on this," and change your mind. There's probably going to be quite a bit of uproar about that. So
All right, Justin, for the people that can't qualify though, um, are they not able to take advantage of the Roth, or are there ways around this? And I believe the answer is yes, and I believe the rest of this presentation is to show people that make too much money how they can take advantage of the Roth.
yeah, so if you're one of those people who you make above that, but you still want the advantages that we just talked about, is hey, you want the tax free growth, be able to use that money tax free. There is a way around that. A couple of different ways that we'll look at today. One is just the traditional backdoor Roth. So with that, what you want to do is you start with just a traditional IRA. So same limits apply there. You can go up to 7,000. Your spouse can also go up to $7,000. So kind of as a family whole, you could look at 14,000, and that's with the 2025 limits. 2026 looks like projected maybe about the same, but that's where you're going to want to start at. I know there's catch-up provisions if you're over 50. So know that if you're over 50, you can have more than that, but don't want to throw too many numbers at you today. So you make that contribution. One thing that is key, that does need to be a non-deductible contribution. So you've already paid taxes on it. And once you paid the taxes, you put the money in there. That now establishes you have a tax basis for the conversion. And then what you want to do is simply convert it into a Roth IRA. What that means is you transfer that into a Roth account there. What you may already, if you already have a Roth that you had started when you were younger, before you were making that high income, you can just contribute it there, kind of send the transfer there, or you can get a hold of your custodian and be able to do that at the same entity there and be able to get that done. Now, one thing to note is that once you do that, you ideally want to convert that immediately. So you don't want to put $7,000 in, leave it for 6 months or so. That's being invested, and now that's going to grow because when you convert, you're going to have to pay some taxes on that growth as you actually convert it. So typically, don't want that to happen. So ideally, you do the conversion immediately, and that way you minimize any taxable growth in there. Now, is it the end of the world if you have some growth there? No, but be prepared to have that on your taxes there. So that's the main steps to that.
So in
Some
other ways, Justin, it's if you can't qualify for a Roth, contribute to a traditional, don't take the deduction, and then switch it over to a Roth, and you can do that.
Yep. So it's all pretty simple to just at least get the 7,000 in.
Okay.
And so not really much to that. And that's why it would make sense if there wasn't the limitations. Now, some common mistakes to avoid just to make sure that you have it all done correctly and don't run into any issues. One, the pro-rata rule. That means you are going to, everything is looked at as one account in traditional IRA balances. So if you've already contributed money to an IRA that you did and you did not pay taxes on it, so you made pre-tax contributions, well, they look at that as all one account. So only a portion of that you actually convert will be not taxable. So it may actually negate some of the benefits that you're looking at. Uh, Quick example of that would be if you have 21,000 that you've contributed already. Now you're looking to convert 7,000 in this year, so total of 28,000. Well, 75% of that is actually one that you contributed pre-tax, and so 75% of that conversion is actually going to be taxable. So you try to roll over that 7,000, that's 5,250 of that you're going to have to pay taxes on. So you can see how that quickly becomes an issue that you may not want to run into. So one way to get around that is if you can, you have a traditional IRA, if your 401k allows that as your employer, you can roll it into the 401k, and then now you can convert no problem there. So again, just a little thing to look out for
So
if you have a
Justin, I
lot
just
of
want to make sure I'm understanding this. So you obviously the money going into a Roth, it's after tax. So you're gonna have to pay money on those dollars. But you're saying if you had a traditional IRA and let's say you've been contributing it for a couple of years, and in your example, you had 28,000 now that you put in, and then you want to transfer 7 grand to a Roth IRA, you're now gonna have to pay additional taxes on that. So you're getting taxed on your original capital or your original salary, and then additionally because it's taking from a portion of your it's looking at all your IRA as one. Hey, so retirement planning should really be called future cash flow planning. The goal is really simple. Maximize your future cash flow without taking on additional risk or robbing your future self and legacy. If you're in retirement or are nearing retirement and want us to do an analysis of your situation to ensure you're maximizing your future, please click the link in the description or tag comment below. All right, back to the video.
Yeah, so it's just looking at that whole balance as one part of it you didn't pay taxes on, so you're going to have to pay
Mm.
taxes on that when you convert it, even though the part that so that you don't get to pick and choose of, hey, I didn't pay taxes on this and this is all that I want to roll over is the part I actually did. They look at it just as a percentage wise
Okay.
as a
That
whole.
that can be that can be frustrating and confusing. I can
Yeah.
imagine but yeah, that makes sense the way you explained it, and welcome to a government sponsored plans, I guess.
Yeah, it's something that if you don't have any other IRAs, then don't worry about it. You're not going to run into this issue. Now, a few people out there may have just a bunch of random IRAs that they started quick contributing to, and then that's where it can become something just to look out for to make sure if you're fine paying the taxes on that, great. But just something to be aware of. And then the other thing to note is you do have to file a form. So you're going to have to file this form H606, which is you just reporting that this was a non-deductible contribution to the IRA. So the IRS needs to know that. Otherwise, they look at it just like they would a traditional IRA because they don't know um, that it was after taxes. They look at that as all one. And so then whenever you go to do the conversion, could be taxable, or down the road when you go to pull it out, could also be taxable. So in that case, you would be hit in two places, get taxed twice on money that was meant to be that you didn't file a form. So definitely something that you want to do. And all that does is make sure that it's all tracked correctly in that case. So that's all about the simple backdoor Roth. So backdoor Roth, you can get 7,000 or 14,000. As the limits go up, you'll be able to get potentially more. And then the other one, the mega backdoor Roth. So let's see, how can we actually get a whole lot more than that? Because a lot of people see $7,000. And they say, well, great. I want to be able to do more than that, especially if you're someone that's making over that threshold. So good news is there is another option. Part of this though will be it's not for everyone, and there's a lot of kind of boxes that you have to check to even be able to get this done there. So, but you can go up to 70,000. This usually will have to be done inside of a 401k. So you need to have a 401k plan that is already in place, and so typically your 401k will have three different buckets that you can contribute to. Really, four if you count the employer match. So you can contribute your money to that's pre-tax. You save on the taxes, so you're getting a tax deduction for that. And then you have can do just traditional. You can also do Roth in there as well. So you have two different options there. Then you have your employer match that comes in, and some plans actually have after tax contribution. So that's where you're going to be able to actually get up to the 70,000. Not all plans have them. Actually, most plans don't, just due to it adds more complexity. Most people don't use that because if you think of most people contributing to a 401k, are they going to want to be able to contribute more money, $70,000 a year after tax contribution to the plan? Most of the time, the answer is no, unless you are making quite a bit and able to put quite a bit away. And so that's why
Well,
it's
and
not
I would
necessary.
imagine this is only for the person that wants to just do it for themselves. This would not
Yeah.
be necessarily recommended if you're doing this for employees because then you're not getting a deduction for their matches, but I can see
Yeah.
where it seems like that option's literally designed for the mega backdoor Roth.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's something there where you have the defined contribution limit, where you can go up to 70,000. So that means any difference there. So if we come down here and look at just an example to see the difference. So let's say you go up to your employee amount that you can contribute. So this could be the pre-tax. So you contribute 23,500. Great. That's taxes that you didn't have to pay this year for putting that in, which if you are a high income earner, that can be a great thing. I know we want to talk about the Roth and the advantages of that, but you can also save on taxes now, which can be a huge advantage for a lot of people as well. So can put that in. Say your employee or employer matches that amount, or matches up to a certain limit. So 10,500 comes from there. So you've contributed in that case $34,000 into the 401k where you have that total amount, and then you can contribute the rest up to 70,000. So if you don't get a match, then great, you can contribute a whole lot more in after tax. If you get a higher match, well, you can contribute less. The limit's going to be that 70,000. And so that's what we would see here, able to get $36,000 in after tax. So again, this is money that you receive, you've already been taxed on it, and then you contribute that into the 401k plan, making sure that it is an after tax contribution there. So all of that goes in, and now, just like before, the money's in there, but we need to now convert that into the actual Roth rather than leaving it as it is in just the 401k there. So way that would work, after tax conversion options you can do now that there is Roth 401ks, you can just do a simple in plan Roth conversion. So you can take that. Now, part of it may already be inside the Roth if that's where you contributed anyways. A lot of times employer matches don't go to the Roth. But if it does, then most of it's in there. It's the after tax that you would have to actually put into there. Now, that stays within the plan. Maybe you like the plan options, maybe you don't. That would be one thing that you would be able to do. Now, some 401k plans actually allow you to take that money out and contribute it, roll it over into a Roth IRA that's outside of the plan. For a lot of people, that may make the most sense for you, give you a little bit more control, typically possibly lower fees and more kind of withdrawal flexibility depending on the employer there. So a lot of it is plan specific, depends on the company you work at and a lot of different things there. But if that's another option, you would just simply take, hey, you did 70,000 into it. Now you're going to be able to roll all of that out into a Roth IRA. And now that's going to grow for the rest of your days up to, and you could pull it out without having to pay the taxes on it there. So that's where some of the benefits come from. Now, that's also where it's not right for everyone because a lot of your plans may not allow for it. But if they do, it can be a very powerful tool there. Eligibility requirements. This is where I have to make sure. So 401k, it has to allow for after tax contributions. Most plans actually do not allow that. There's a lot that goes into that, as far as even discrimination rules and why companies don't do it. You also have most people wouldn't take advantage of it because most people aren't going to have an extra $36,000 laying around, or even less than that beyond the 23,500 they would contribute. So most people don't take advantage of it. A lot of times it's more costly for the employer to have that option. So would not be something that if you can't do it, then I would say need to find a company that allows it. You can also make sure that you have in-service withdrawals or conversions. So some plans, again, because a lot of different 401k plans out there, they may not allow you to be able to move money inside the plan or even move money outside of the plan there. So that's definitely something you want to double check on to see if you can actually do that. Now, if you're a business owner and you have no employees, you can do a solo 401k. Benefit of that is you're in complete control, and you can have a lot of flexibility to get the same thing done and actually go up to those limits as well. And then you can do the conversion and everything there and still get your money into a Roth. So probably a lot of people that watch this channel, maybe business owners, different things like that. If you don't have employees, you can take advantage of this. Most of the time, if you're a business owner with employees and different things, probably not going to be an option for you, which is unfortunate there, because I know there's a lot of people that would want to take advantage of this if they could. But that's some of the limits. Still can see it can be a very powerful tool to get you there. But at the end of the day, too, it may not be right for you if you don't want to contribute that money. There's other options out there you can do with that money. But if you want to get that money to Roth, you're already saving in other areas. You already have plenty of money to go around. It can be a great way to potentially save on taxes in the future there.
So Justin, just to recap, the traditional IRA, there's more steps involved, but no matter how much money you can make, you can do that. So that's check number one. The mega 401k option is only really available if you're a solo entrepreneur. Yeah, and then you have to work with some type of company to set up a special type of 401k that allows this. And again, guys, thanks to ChatGPT and Google, like there's ways to search that. And then there's other strategies out there like using a SEP IRA, but it's my understanding that the SEP IRA is just more it's more even complex than a 401k when it comes to restrictions and all, but someone could also, if they're a solo business owner, take advantage of something like that. And then there's interesting things that you can do with defined benefit plans. Is there any other things that I mentioned that you want to comment on, or anything that I didn't mention that there else is out there to make available to just get people to think differently when it comes to getting money growing tax free?
Yeah, and I think the one thing, I mean, the SEP IRA can be a great thing. If you, it's hard to convert it to Roth simply because you'll be paying taxes when you convert. So a lot of times may not make sense there. But yeah, it's really pretty much anyone. I say anyone, you have to be making money to be able to do it.
Yeah,
But no
it's true.
matter how much you make, still employed, can do the backdoor Roth. So if you're above that threshold, that's one that you can easily do. So 7,000, maybe up to 14,000, depending on your spouse, and if you have a spouse and can do that. Now the mega backdoor, unfortunately, there's a lot of other items that need to go into it that you just have to make sure it's pretty plan specific. So have to make sure it aligns with your 401k plan, and can be able to do that. Now, if you work at a company that have a lot of high income earners, chances are greater that you have the ability to do some of those things, because that's really who it's going to be for. But if you work at a company and possibly you're one of the highest income earners, but everybody else under you doesn't make as much, maybe that's a place that you just don't have those options there. So would be something, wouldn't hurt to talk to your HR department, talk to the custodian that has it, and just see what your options are. That way, hey, if you want to do this, you have that ability. If you, but then again, you won't know until you ask. And so just want to double check there. And then as always, make sure you look out for the little details so you don't get hit with a surprise tax bill or something
Or a penalty.
surprising.
Yeah.
Yeah, or a penalty. Yeah, I definitely don't want that as well.
All right, Justin. Well, thank you so much for breaking this down, making it simple. If you enjoy content like this, let us know. We are trying to do our best to increase financial IQ and stuff like this. Again, I knew it existed, and I was never anti Roth, but quite frankly, I just never did the steps to do this, and it's just hit me this year where it's like that needs to change, and I wanna bring you along the journey of me trying to do the best I can. So, Justin, thank you.